there, my name is Cindy Hudson and I am a Tau Chapter brother. I pledged back in the fall of 1994, so quite some time ago. And normally this time of year I come to Greenville and talk to the current initiates for a little bit, but clearly we can't do that right now. So I am going to try to tell you what I would have come and spoke with you about. I really hate I'm not getting to meet you all. And I know this is crazy times and this is different than anybody would have expected, but hopefully we can still get to know each other a little bit this way, and I'll meet you in the future. Let me tell you a little bit about me first. I went to ECU for both of my degrees. I have a bachelor's of criminal justice that I got in '97, and then a master of social work that I got in 2000. And I did social work for a little over 10 years. I worked with Child Protective Services, investigating abuse and neglect reports for several years, and then I switched over to ongoing case management and foster care and adoption for several more years before becoming a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 children. My oldest is 16, she's my girl, and then my boys are 13, 9, and 7. And I am married to a Tau Chapter brother as well. His name's Brad. And I guess that's about it. I stay home now and just, we live in Wilmington near the beach, so we spend lots of time at the beach and just enjoying life. So what I want to chat with you all about is sort of twofold. First, it's about a dear, sweet friend of mine and kind of his impact on my life and on how I view the fraternity, and then also just sort of kind of the impact the fraternity can have on your life and what it can mean to you, and then I guess threefold. And then the third thing is another dear sweet friend who had an equal impact on my world, all through Tau Chapter. So first, a fella named Stephen Moore, and he was, and people always say this about people who are deceased, I know, but he really was just an incredible human being. He pledged our fraternity, I guess probably about a year after I did, and from the moment I met him, I was just enamored with his personality, his joy, his ability to make every single person in a room feel unique and special. And then once I got to know him, it became even more profound because Steve came from a very small town, Scotland Neck, North Carolina, and he was one of 8 children, the first to go away to college. His mom worked very hard to provide for her family, and Steve, having learned from her, no doubt, came to Greenville not only to get a college degree, but he worked 3 jobs to send money home to his family so that he could still continue to contribute to help his mom. And even with all of that, as challenging as that must have been for him at such a young age, he really was just the happiest person. He just spread kindness and joy everywhere he went. And I'm sure you guessed that he died. He died when he was just 22 years old. He had gone home for Thanksgiving, and the day after Thanksgiving was playing basketball with some friends, and died of a heart attack. The impact that Phi Sigma Pi in the short time that he was a part of us had on his life was so remarkable to me, because he had managed to convey to his mom how important the fraternity was to him in such a way that she asked his pledge brothers and his pledge advisor to be a part of the funeral. His pledge brothers were his pallbearers, and his pledge advisor spoke at the funeral. many of us, most of us in the fraternity, both brothers and alumni, went to his funeral. And it was an incredibly moving experience. And afterwards, when we were in the reception hall at the church, his mom came up to us and she said, "I just want to thank you all for being Steve's family when he couldn't be with his family." And I was young, and I knew that the fraternity meant having a lot of fun, having some challenges for sure, but it had not really sunk in with me yet how much it truly is a family and what that means until that moment, and how we really were family, and we were so much better off for having each other during our college experience. Now, 20 years later, or however many years it's been, I really know how much of a family we are, because my very best friends are still Taw Chapter brothers. My family and 6 other families from Taw Chapter vacation together every year for a week at the lake. We spend lots of other time together throughout the year, between football games and different things, going to each other's homes. And I think of Steve often during those times, because I know that the fraternity meant that much to him, and that it has always been such an important part of my life, and it would have certainly always been that way with him. We have an award called the Outstanding Senior Award. I'm not sure, I think they still do it, I'm not sure, but we had started that after Steve died. Because the thing about Steve was that he was very busy. He obviously, like I said, he worked 3 jobs, he went to school full-time, and so he couldn't be at every single thing that we did as a fraternity. But when he was there 110%. He was always fully engaged, and such a joy to be around. And so the Outstanding Senior Award, how we sort of started it, was not necessarily for the person who was at every single event, although those are oftentimes amazing brothers too. But you can be a great brother and not be at every single thing. You can be an amazing brother and just be fully engaged when you are present. And that was Steve. The other person I wanted to talk about equally impacted our fraternity and equally impacted my heart is a brother named Jean Latham. And she had a very different story than Steve. She was a non-traditional student in the extreme. She was in her 40s, I believe. Gosh, I might have that wrong, but when she came to ECU, she had already lived a whole life, had a child who was grown, and all these things, and then decided to go back to school to get her degree. And so she came to ECU and decided she wanted the full college experience, and so she pledged Phi Sigma Pi, which was such a hoot. She was an amazing person as well, so much fun to be around. I can only imagine what a fun mom she had been. And so after a few years of knowing Jean, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she did chemo and all the things and went into remission for a while. And then one evening, a bunch of the brothers, we had gone to Myrtle Beach for New Year's. And when we got home, I got a phone call from Jean, and she said that her cancer was back and it was all over her body. And so we had just gotten back from Myrtle Beach and got right back in the car and went to see her at the hospital. And her spirit was so incredible even then. Through her entire process, she had always had the best attitude and just so much joy. And even then, she knew that she was choosing to not do chemo again, to not go through all of that again. And that her days were numbered. And still, she kept such a positive attitude up until the very end. And when she died, naturally, we went to her funeral, and her husband, and I'm not even kidding, almost verbatim said the same thing that Steve's mom said after the funeral, when he said to us, I just want to thank you for being such an important part of Jean's life and being family to her. And this was many years after Steve, several years, not many, but several. And again, I was overwhelmed with the knowledge that we are family, and that Tau Chapter and Phi Sigma Pi are as much a part of your life as you choose for it to be. And when you give something all you have, you will get it back tenfold in this fraternity. So I guess if you take anything away from this, besides knowing that there have been some amazing brothers in this fraternity that you will never get the opportunity to meet, but they have impacted Tau Chapter and brothers in such positive, remarkable ways. The other message I'd like you to take is that this is a family, and if you choose to allow Tau Chapter to be a part of your life in that way, then you will get back in relationship, in experiences, and enjoy so much more than you can imagine. I hope that even though this semester is crazy and kooky and unlike what you would have imagined it to be or wanted it to be, that you still are able to find some good and some happy and some things to enjoy through this crazy time, and that that you are able to fully experience Tau Chapter in the future once things are in some kind of new normal, different normal, back to normal, however that's going to look. If you have any interest in chatting with me further or asking any questions, since I can't be with you right now to get questions, then feel free to ask your initiative advisor for my email, and I'm more than happy to communicate. And otherwise, good luck and take care.